This is Signed Number Review, Part 6. We're talking about order of operations. So let's look at negative 9 times 4 divided by negative 36 times 50. I look inside the parentheses and neither of these will simplify. And I have no exponents, so now I'm down to the multiplication and division step and I have to work from left to right. So the first thing I see is this multiplication right here. Negative 9 times 4. Opposite signs, so it's negative. 9 times 4 is 36. Now the rest of it I'm going to bring down. Okay. Now the next thing I need to do is still only divisions and multiplications. I still have to work from left to right, so I have to do this division. Negative 36 divided by negative 36. They have the same sign, so my answer is positive. And I'm dividing the same number by itself, so that's a 1. So now I have 1 times 50, and 1 times 50 would be 50. Next problem. Negative 88 divided by negative 8 divided by negative 11 times 0. Now you can do this the hard way or the easy way. I'm just going to work it without seeing a trick. I see there, I can't simplify 0. It's only divisions and multiplications, so I need to work from left to right. Negative 88 divided by negative 8, well, they're both negative, so it's going to be positive. 88 divided by 8 is 11, so I have 11 divided by negative 11 times 0. Now I need to work this division. 11 divided by negative 11, opposite sign, so it's negative. 11 divided by 11 is 1. So I have 1 times 0, which is 0. And I went through all of that, and it's correct, and technically that's what happens, but I could have looked at this and said, okay, well, I'm going to have to work this from left to right, and the very last thing I'm going to do is multiply by 0. So it's going to be 0. It didn't matter what all of this was. The last thing I was going to do was multiply by 0, so it's 0. Okay. Let's look at this. 5 minus 5 squared. I don't have any parentheses in here. My next step is exponents. Now what an exponent is shorthand for repeated multiplication. 5 squared, what this means is that it's 5 times itself 2 times. If I had 5 to the third power, it would be 5 times 5 times 5. We read the second power as squared, we read a third power as cubed, all the rest of them, we just say the power. Okay? So this is, and I have to do exponents before I can do a subtraction. This is 5 minus, because it's still the subtraction, 5 squared is 25. Now I need to take care of the subtraction because that's the only operation I have left. So I change this to 5 plus negative 25. Change it to an addition of the opposite. Now these two, it's an addition with opposite signs. So we're going to end up subtracting the absolute values. The absolute value of 5 is 5. The absolute value of negative 25 is positive 25. 25 minus 5 is 20. The larger absolute value was negative, so my answer is negative 20. Okay. If we look at this problem, we have 4 plus 3. There's no symbol in here, so this is times 8 minus 3. Now, we have to simplify inside the parentheses if we can, and we can. We know 8 minus 3. This is 4 plus, I'm bringing the rest of this down, and what goes in the parentheses? Whatever 8 minus 3 is. 8 minus 3 is what we would normally think of as just normal subtraction. 8 minus 3 is 5. You can think of this as 8 plus negative 3, and you'd still get to the 5. Okay, so that's simplified now. So we've simplified inside the parentheses. Our next step would be exponents, but we don't have any. And then we have multiplication and division from left to right. Well, this is the only one of those I have, so I need to do 3 times 5, which is 15. So I have 4 plus 15, and then finally 4 plus 15 is 19. If you mess up and you do this addition first, you would have 7 times 5, which is 35, which is not the same thing. Okay. This one, 3 times 2 minus 7 minus negative 5 plus 1. We need to simplify inside the parentheses first. 3 times. What is 2 minus 7? Well, that's the same as 2 plus negative 7. These are opposite signs, so we talk about their absolute values. 7 minus 2 is 5. The 7 was a larger absolute value. It was negative, so that's negative. So 2 minus 7 is negative 5. Minus. What is negative 5 plus 1? Again, we look at their absolute values. That's 5, that's 1. Subtract them to get a 4. 5 was the larger absolute value. It was negative, so my answer is negative. So inside here, I have negative 4. Okay, so let's look at what we have now. We have a multiplication here. I can't simplify inside here anymore. Can't simplify inside here anymore. And that's a subtraction. Well, multiplication and division come before subtraction, so we need to do this part. 3 times negative 5 would be negative 15. Because they have opposite signs, so minus a negative 4 here now. Now the only operation we have left is a subtraction. I have negative 15, change it to plus the opposite of, so plus the opposite of negative 4 is positive 4. Now finally in addition, I have opposite signs, so I'm looking at their absolute values, which would be 15 and 4. 15 minus 4 is 11. The 15 is a larger absolute value. It was negative, so my answer is negative.